It was reported last week by WrestleZone.com that The Undertaker, yes, the Phenom, will indeed be competing this year at WrestleMania after missing out on the event last year in New York / New Jersey. It is New Jersey, it wasn't in New York last year, but WWE would like you to think it was. So that was a big talking point, wasn't it, for the last few months coming into WrestleMania season. Obviously, missing last year's WrestleMania, would The Undertaker be competing at this year's event? He's only got so many WrestleManias left in him at this point, so many matches, quite frankly, left in him at this point. So would he be competing at the show of shows? It's been reported that he will, and his opponent, well, it's none other, reportedly, than the phenomenal one himself, AJ Styles. Now, of course, like I mentioned, The Undertaker missed last year's event, and he actually appeared on the following Raw. He was in a segment with Elias, did a beatdown, a chokeslam of Elias. Looks great, looked great. The best The Undertaker's actually looked in a long, long time. I know he's switched up his diet and his workout regime. And then he went on in 2019 to compete at Super Showdown, of course, in that infamous match against Goldberg. And then after that, to redeem himself after that performance, not necessarily his fault, but after that, just that match in general, he competed at Extreme Rules with Roman Reigns against Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon. Now, AJ Styles, when the news was reported that he would be facing AJ Styles, people were questioning whether AJ Styles would be competing at WrestleMania itself. He, of course, was injured at the Royal Rumble, in the Royal Rumble match. He took a spear from Edge. It was like Edge's third spear back, maybe, after 9 years out of the ring. It landed awkwardly. It wasn't Edge's fault. AJ Styles has gone on record to say that he doesn't blame Edge for the injury. It was reported that he might have suffered a shoulder injury, a separated shoulder or something like that, and he has been out for the last few weeks. Well, all those concerns about AJ Styles missing WrestleMania quickly dissipated last night as he returned on Monday Night Raw along with the OC, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Now, this segment last night on Raw really, for me, did set up or kickstart the Undertaker storyline. Now, the Phenom himself did not appear on Monday Night Raw, but AJ Styles definitely sowed the seeds for what's to come. He called himself Mr. WrestleMania. He talked about who's next. Who is AJ Styles going to face next now he's back inside a WWE ring? And he rattled off a list of names, some on the current roster and some legends of WWE and professional wrestling. He mentioned Shawn Michaels, Triple H, D-Generation X, the NWO. He mentioned Hulk Hogan. He mentioned Diesel and Razor Ramon. People was sort of going on social media when he said like the likes of Hulk Hogan, Diesel, and Razor Ramon. He went, "Oh, AJ Styles was his Hulk Hogan confirmed." I hate to be the party pooper. That isn't happening. That one is not happening. AJ Styles isn't going to face Scott Hall inside a ring. Scott Hall's done inside a ring. He's got a pacemaker at this point. Hulk Hogan had his millionth back surgery last year. If you can go on his social media, on his Twitter or his Instagram, you see these screws and bolts that they took out of his back. He's in no condition to compete, so let's throw that one out of the window. But sandwiched between all of those names was The Undertaker himself. So there you go. That's the little tick. Okay, people were waiting out. When he started rattling off these names, people were going, is he going to say The Undertaker? He said The Undertaker. And once he said it, he moved on very quickly. He didn't give the crowd a chance to react to it, because when news like this is reported and then they try and sow the seeds for it, the crowd can jump on it and hijack the segment. Randy Orton did a very similar thing when he did the fake injury angle of AJ Styles a couple of months ago. He mentioned Edge by name, and wouldn't you know it, Edge returns and they're going to most likely be facing each other at WrestleMania, that being Randy Orton and Edge. So this was definitely sowing the seeds, I would say, for what's to come. So I would say last night is definitely the start of this AJ Styles vs. Undertaker storyline. And when he called himself Mr. WrestleMania, obviously Mr. WrestleMania is the Shawn Michaels moniker, but that looks like the story that they're going to tell here. AJ Styles talking about being the best of all time, saying he's Mr. WrestleMania. There is nobody better at WrestleMania than AJ Styles himself. And when he said about what's next for AJ Styles, is anybody actually worthy of facing Mr. WrestleMania at the big event, the show of shows, on the grandest stage of them all, the granddaddy of them all, whatever you want to call it. The logical next step is that who would be worthy of facing Mr. WrestleMania? I'm putting that in quotation marks, but who would be worthy of facing Mr. WrestleMania? Well, none other than the man who was undefeated at 21 WrestleManias, the man who is quite frankly synonymous with WrestleMania. It's his event, and that being The Undertaker. So if that's the story that they're going to tell, I really don't have any problems with that story. My question when this was reported by WrestleZone.com was, what's the story there? Sometimes when they report these kind of stories, these matches, you almost start trying to think forward and going, okay, well, how are they going to do this? How are they going to book this? What's the story that they're going to tell? And sometimes with these big WrestleMania matches, the story's already there. It writes itself. You think of, Hogan Rock, for instance. There's no story to tell there. It's generation versus generation. You think of last year with Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair maybe shouldn't have been put into that match, but the story was already there from Survivor Series, and that's the best stories, are the real and the organic ones. So when this did come out, I was curious about what's the story they're going to tell here. There's no real built-in history between AJ Styles and The Undertaker, so the creative team is going to have to come up with something creative. Imagine that. And really, make the spark that's going to fan the flames of this feud. So if that's the story that they're going to tell, that AJ Styles is Mr. WrestleMania, is even worthy of facing Mr. WrestleMania at WrestleMania, that being The Undertaker, I have no problems with that story. AJ Styles isn't Mr. WrestleMania. He's had some great matches at WrestleMania. I enjoyed the Chris Jericho match. The Shane McMahon AJ Styles match opened WrestleMania 33 and arguably, stole the show really there, apart from the Hardys' return, obviously, later on in that night. The WrestleMania 34 match he had with Shinsuke Nakamura was a letdown. People were calling it the dream match. The way it was placed on the card, I think, just didn't benefit that match at all. And quite frankly, their chemistry in WWE just didn't hit. It just didn't hit, did it? And then Shinsuke started hitting low blows every 5 seconds, and AJ Styles apparently never learned to wear a cup or anything like that. So that wasn't a huge match on the AJ Styles WrestleMania bout, shall we say. And then last year you had the match against Randy Orton, which should have been a good match, but it was absolutely ruined because WWE apparently doesn't know how to light a stadium properly and blinded half the crowd. So is AJ Styles actually Mr. WrestleMania? Absolutely not. But if that's a story that they want to tell, I'm fine with it. Now, the match or the pairing of AJ Styles versus The Undertaker, for me, is very smart booking. Now, when this was announced, some people were saying on social media, it should be Sting, Undertaker should face Sting, or Undertaker should face John Cena again. They didn't have a long match at WrestleMania 34. And I couldn't disagree anymore. We've seen what these legend versus legend matches do and what can actually happen in them. Look at Goldberg versus The Undertaker last year at Super Showdown. That match was a mess. It was sad. And it was, quite frankly, was embarrassing for both men. And I would since their performances since, they've gone on to try and redeem themselves because they knew it was that bad. And it just shows that you can't be putting, mid-50s versus mid-50s superstars in age against each other in the ring. At this point in their age, it just doesn't work, and it doesn't do the fans justice, and it doesn't do the legends in themselves justice, and it can seriously taint the image and the memory of the superstars in the fans' minds. And Undertaker's gone on record several times that his biggest fear is becoming a parody of himself in the ring. And once you get older, if you're paired against guys that can't, work around your injuries, your deficiencies, anything like that, you won't do yourself justice, and you do look like a parody of yourself. So you have to be respectful to the talent in the ring and make smart booking decisions to put them in the right light to which they can successfully succeed. So I think an AJ Styles pairing absolutely does this. At this point in The Undertaker's career, his life, his age, The Undertaker's 55 now? The Undertaker needs to be protected and guided through a match with a talent that can do all of the heavy lifting and completely bump his ass off for The Undertaker. That person is AJ Styles. Now, is it going to be the quality of an AJ Styles versus Undertaker match if it happened 10 years ago? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And quite frankly, if you'd have told me 10 years ago that The Undertaker will face AJ Styles at WrestleMania, I would have laughed straight in your face. At this point, The Undertaker was facing, 10 years ago? 2010, Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 26. And AJ Styles was TNA World Heavyweight Champion in then TNA Wrestling, now Impact Wrestling. So I would have laughed in your face and said, absolutely no way. Now, like I said, is it going to be the quality of a match if they'd have faced each other 10 years ago? Absolutely not. Undertaker is 100% not obviously what he was 10 years ago. And to be honest, I don't think AJ Styles is what he was 10 years ago now. AJ Styles can more than still go. And if anyone can pull off a world-class match out of The Undertaker at this point in his career, it would be one of, if not one of the best wrestlers in the world right now, which is AJ Styles. But AJ Styles is, I believe, in his 40s now, or 40. And he said that the last contract he signed with WWE is his last one. So he's feeling the injuries. He's had back injuries throughout his career. He's really pioneered that high-flying style that we are accustomed to today. But he's had to evolve over the years because he can't do that anymore. So like I said, is it going to be the quality if they face each other 10 years ago? No. But I still think, and I will go on record at this point in saying that I think AJ Styles can pull a great match out of The Undertaker. Considering how still over the character of The Undertaker is, AJ Styles can bump his ass off, and AJ Styles can move around The Undertaker. The Undertaker won't be doing too much moving, but AJ Styles will. And if you think about the moves that The Undertaker would have to take here, they're not too taxing and physical. If he hits a phenomenal forearm, Undertaker just has to take a flat back bump. If he does springboard 450, Undertaker just has to lay in the ring. Is Undertaker going to take the Styles Clash? I'm not even sure if the Undertaker could, just purely because of the height differential. But if he locks in the calf crusher, that's a submission. Undertaker's just on his stomach there. And Undertaker's going to have no problem getting AJ up for choke slams, last rides, tombstones. So I think this pairing works really nicely, actually. And whilst it did raise some eyebrows when I first saw it and when social media first saw it, I'm starting to really like this pairing more and more. Because I think if The Undertaker is to continue competing at this point, he needs to be protected in terms of who his opponent is. And quite frankly, he needs to be protected in the ring as well. So going on to who I think will win, obviously we're still a couple of months out from WrestleMania at this point, but who do I think would win? Logically, I would say The Undertaker would win this one. Now, I know what some people will say, should Undertaker be winning over a full-time wrestler, a main roster wrestler at this point in his career? Maybe not, but at WrestleMania he absolutely should. Despite losing twice now at WrestleMania, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, he should have never lost anyway at WrestleMania. The streak should be continued to this day. But Undertaker at any age has no business losing a match at WrestleMania. Unless, of course, it is his last match and he's going to retire. Which I don't think it is. I still think The Undertaker will retire at Survivor Series later on this year. 30 years after he debuts in the WWE, he has his final match, putting over someone like The Fiend. That would be poetic. That would be good storytelling. So I don't think this is The Undertaker's last match, so I don't think he loses this match. Undertaker, like I said, has no business losing a match at WrestleMania. But I still do think I'm optimistic. So many people aren't optimistic on social media nowadays, but I am optimistic. I think this match can be good. I think it can be really good. I think if it's placed right in the card, and I think The Undertaker's still over. The crowd love to see The Undertaker. They love to see The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And even though I didn't agree with it at the time that The Undertaker streak was broken, now that you don't necessarily know if he's going to win a WrestleMania match, it adds that extra drama. If The Undertaker was still defeated at this point, and AJ Styles went up against him, you would say, look, AJ Styles isn't going to break the streak at WrestleMania. Undertaker's now lost twice at WrestleMania. So that little bit of doubt in the back of your head, which gets you more invested in matches and gets crowds more invested in matches. The best matches when you can't predict the winner, you start to say, oh, well, wait a minute. Undertaker's lost twice now. AJ Styles could do it. Is WWE really going to give AJ Styles that big win at WrestleMania? So who knows? Who knows? I still think The Undertaker would win this one, but I'm interested to see it, and I'm interested to see where the storyline goes from here, now that it started officially last night on Monday Night Raw. But it's not all about my opinion, it's about yours on this channel. So what do you think about the potential AJ Styles versus The Undertaker match? Is it going to be a good match? What storyline? How would you book it? Who's going to win? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak with you again very, very soon.